Hello from Sedona. So here I am at the airport vortex. Give you a little peep of the views here. It's pretty amazing. Sedona, city of light, coming to speak to you about actually the shadow and the darkness today. So I donned the Anubis shirt, not really for this video, but I've just been integrating some dark things lately. And I wanted to talk to you about darkness and how the integration actually helps you, even though it's quite uncomfortable, usually. So the shadow self, when you hear people talk about shadow work, generally it just means you're unconscious. You're going into your unconscious, the dark parts of yourself that you don't have much awareness of. So when they come up, generally comes up as some sort of pain. When you hear people say they're triggered, like a trigger, generally that's because the unconscious is coming to the surface. Generally some type of trauma is coming up, and ultimately it's coming up so that you can heal it and be aware of it and bring light and awareness, your energy, your focus into it. You're giving it your love, and essentially your love is just being present with it. Like, so when darkness in you comes up and trauma is triggered and you feel triggered, you don't really have to do anything too much with it. It's more what you don't do actually. So a lot of people get triggered, and you'll know you're triggered because, I mean, it depends on the depth of the trauma that's coming up. I've had triggers where it's been completely debilitating because it was very intense trauma. So it can be very, very uncomfortable. But generally it just comes up as like agitation, anger, anxiety. That's a big one these days, a lot of fear. What else? It can be a feeling like you're off, just something's off. Like you can feel it almost like you're scattered. People say they're scattered. It's a good way of saying it. So, as I was saying, you don't have to do too much with it. You just need to be with it. But the problem is it's very uncomfortable. So a lot of people, they either want to escape into drugs, or if it's just like a small agitation, they get angry and they yell at the person, like someone cuts you off in traffic. You see road rage all the time. And yelling can be sort of a release if you're keeping it to yourself in your own car and not affecting the other person. But as soon, even that, you're still essentially running from the core issue, which is that you need to be with that feeling. And if you imagine it like a swimming pool, so the feeling comes up, you're agitated, you're angry, whatever. Instead of like yelling and looking outwards, and these are all things I do, so speaking from experience here, instead of yelling or taking drugs or trying to forget about it, the correct thing to do is actually watch it. You're just sitting there. If it's like a swimming pool, swim around the pool in the emotion, you know? Get in there, touch the bottom, go underwater, hold your breath a little bit, get to know it in full detail. You want to know everything about it, and you absolutely want to feel all of it. And once you feel it, that's when you can start releasing it. So meditation can help with this. There's a lot of things that could help. Yoga, anything that brings you more into the moment. Even just, I mean, if you have a cup of tea or something, I like to drink tea these days. So if something triggers you, have a sip of tea, just feel it. And once you've felt it, as long as you're not projecting, you don't want to project more pain than there already is by yelling or placing the blame outward. So once you feel it, then you can start releasing, and you'll know you're releasing, and the process of releasing it is actually quite fascinating, because it's just a lot of people don't even make it to that point in their lifetime. A lot of people spend their whole life being angry or placing the blame outwards. So you'll know you're releasing because there's almost a feeling, it's almost like you were underwater when you were in the emotion, and then as you feel it, get to know it, back to the swimming pool analogy, it's like you come out of the water, your head is finally above the water. And that's a really good simile or metaphor, I think, of how to describe it, because it's like it's also, you have perspective now, and most importantly, the emotion that was there before is now not present. So the best way I can really put this to you is when that emotion comes up, you go into it. You want to go right into the emotion and feel it and be with it and just observe, like really observe fully, and don't react in anger or try to get away from it. As you sit with that, they call it transmutation in the spiritual community. All that pain, anger, blah, 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 it starts to transmute into wisdom, love, tranquility. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And I hope you do get to see it. Start small, you know, with things that just trigger you a little bit. And as you get familiar with the process, go to something a little more, a little more, a little more. And then you're transmuting huge trauma, and it's a beautiful thing. So I hope that helps somebody out there. Talk to you later from Sedona.